Hold on, everyone. We took this quick break out of the podcast to let you know that if you want to be a nurse, a certified successful nurse, the best place to go to get you great training is at Margate Medical Training Center. They have very good flexible class schedules, and also they have flexible payment plans where you can pay for your classes little by little by little until you pay it off. Now, the number to reach them is 954-588-4149 or 954-960-2808. Let me repeat that for y'all one more time. It's 954-588-4149 or 954-960-2808. Now, let's go back to the podcast.
What's going on, everyone? We are back again for another beautiful episode of the Student to Life podcast, where learning and unlearning has no limits. Listen, before we go any further, please be sure to like and comment and subscribe to our channel. Share this to your family and friends and chime into the conversation. So I am your host, Shan, and this is my co-host.
Stretch.
And I'm so excited for this episode because we are talking about business relationships.
Yes, we're in the season of relationships, and today we're touching on business relationships.
Yes.
So we're both entrepreneurs. We both own business or businesses. So we always talk about how important it is to maintain relationships within business. And we always talk about romantic relationships all the time, but a lot of times we don't talk about, especially in our community, maintaining business relationships and what that means to our culture. So, doing business with friends and family, right? This is the first one on the list that we're going to talk about. And a lot of people don't recommend it. Just like we don't recommend living together, right? And I want to know your perspective on that before I go ahead and just say what I got to say.
So you said earlier, it's not in our culture and whatever, right?
It's not. It's in our culture to do, but it's not.
It's not known, like the
conversation is not popular,
right? Because it's a lot of times
it never really works out. A lot of times,
right? And there's a lot of times where you try to network and whatever, and it's just like okay.
Right.
But with family and friends, it's a tricky one. You have to, I think with me now, the age that I am, I had to analyze the friends and family that I know is business minded. Before, the old me would be like, I have this idea, you should come on. Yeah. And I would just pitch it to them so good, get them on, and it'll just bomb.
Right.
And I had to realize that you have to be ready, and it has to be a hunger for you to want to do business, to want to network, to want to, reach to that next level when it comes to that. And then sometimes I've realized a lot of the times in the past, I would try to bring people on that wasn't even entrepreneurship in the, there wasn't in the entrepreneurship world. So I would try to be like, oh yeah, just do it as a side hustle and whatever. Like I was in the business of convincing, and that was a problem. And I realized true business relationships, you don't have to convince. You don't have to do much convincing.
No. So that's what I was gonna get to. There's 2 or 3 ways you can look at this. The first way I think is you can do business with anybody. That's number one. I think the common denominator is doing business with the people that has the same end goal as you. They want the same thing. And they understand the process of getting to this goal. Now, a lot of times you are gonna have conflict in that business relationship, whether it's with friends or family or even with just a business partner. There's gonna be you have to take out the feelings and the ego out of that in order to come to a resolve, because a lot of times we let feelings get in the way of doing business, which is always a downfall of almost every business, where you're not able to separate both. That's especially when you're dealing with a romantic partner that has a business that you have problems at home, but you're not able to come to work and separate that. Or the people that have problems at home and you bring it to work, you're not able to separate your issues at home from your issues at work. So there's plenty of ways you can look at this, and like I said, you could do business with just anybody. And I feel like once you learn how to compartmentalize those feelings of I'm at work now, so this is what it is. And knowing that anybody who's on your team has the same end goal as you and has the same ambition as you and the work ethic as you and take it just as important. It's important to them just as much as it's important to you.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you have people on your team that is not on the same page as far as the end goal and where you're trying to get to, the end goal has to be more important than whatever you got going on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And it's kind of like a catch-22, if that was the right terminology. But, you know, business, if you are a business-minded person, if you're an entrepreneur, business can be, it's a passion.
Right.
So with passion does naturally come emotion.
Right.
But it's how can you balance the whole thing without making one overpower the next.
I feel like it's how you direct it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like a basketball player.
Right.
A lot of times I hear a lot of guys say they can't turn it off. They can't turn off that aggression, that feeling of wanting to destroy the other person. It's hard for them to turn it off. That's why a lot of football players, they get into altercations because that aggressiveness, that assertiveness, it comes out in your real life sometimes.
Yeah.
A lot of times if you don't know how to turn that off when you step outside those lines, then that's where you start to get into conflict that you're not supposed to, because this feeling has to be channeled in a certain way to push you forward.
Right.
As far as everybody, like, especially playing ball, you have to have ego. Your ego is going to be present while you're playing basketball or any sport. Your ego is strong and heavy because at the end of the day, the person in front of you, you don't feel like they're better than you. You feel like you're the best at this, what you're doing right now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But when you get off that court, you got to be able to turn that off. And a lot of people are not able to turn that off and say, all right, I'm back to normal now and tone it down. Just like an actor in a role, a lot of times they're in a role, they have to know how to turn that role off, turn that person off that you're pretending to be in order to come back to themselves.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times people have to learn how to turn off their emotions when it's not wanted.
Right.
Because in certain situations doing business, I can't bring you in a business meeting and me and you have a problem and who we're having a meeting with, they sense that because they're going to feel like we don't have it together. And
What do you think the difference between passion and emotion is, though? Like, what's the difference?
So your emotion it clouds your judgment a lot of times. You're when you're passionate about something, it shows in your action, in how you approach things. Everything is directed. Your passion, everything is directed towards that one specific thing. Emotions, now you're all over the place because now you're not thinking straight. Your emotions are taking over. If you're able to put those emotions under control, then that's where you're able to channel it to help to boost your passion even more, to push you forward.
Okay.
So I feel like a lot of people don't know how to control those feelings.
Yeah.
You know? So.
And with friends and family, I think that overall I don't know, I kind of have a phobia working with friends and family sometimes because I'm not going to say I've had bad experiences, but it's just one of those things, and I think maybe I have to just, not even me, I feel
like the right conversations has to be had.
Yeah.
That's all it is. I feel like doing business with friends and family, you have to learn how to have certain conversations.
Yeah.
You know, because in my experience, a lot of times, being able to say, all right, your way might not work or my way might not work, but let's throw some ideas out there.
Right.
You know, not feeling like everybody's a chief, right? Everybody is able to lead, but nobody's able to follow at all.
Yeah.
So you have to know when to do both. You have to know when to lead, you have to know when to follow.
Yeah.
A lot of people, everybody's leading, so you bump heads.
Yeah. And I think that has to be, you know, a conversation in the beginning, like, okay, who is the chief? Who is the leader?
Sometimes there's none. You just choose there's a time and place where that is needed. Yeah. So in business, most times you have your strength and I have my weakness, right? If just like us doing the podcast, I know you're the person I could call to say, hey, put this together in writing. When it comes to putting stuff in writing, that's you. That's your strength. That's not my strength. I could do it, but I know that's your strength. I lean on you to do that. That's how business works. When it comes to
Right.
like negotiating things and doing business side of it, you come to me and I work that out.
Yeah.
That is how you learn how to be a leader in your area. I'm not your boss and you're not mine.
Right.
But we just learn how to coexist in this space.
Right. But say you was working with like a family, like restaurants, right? Just real quick, like, because I've seen family businesses like restaurants or clubs or whatever, and everyone, there's gonna be that one person that had the idea and brought the family and the team on. How do you think that the ones that are successful, balance that with a group of like 5 family members? And
I feel like they set ground rules.
yeah.
So you know that mom and dad are the founders and the leaders of this.
Yeah.
They call the shots. And they set these ground rules that you have to be on time, you have to show up and get the work done, it has to be this certain level of quality. Not because it's your business or it's your family business, you're not gonna go out there and be rude to somebody.
Yeah.
You're still an employee. So when you set these ground rules, knowing that there's no gray area, so there's no, all right, even though you're my family, I still have to pay you one time. Even though you're my family, I still have to treat you with respect.
Right.
These are the ground rules that has to be set. That's how we become successful, because everybody understands their role. Everybody understands the goal of where we're trying to take this company. We're trying to make our grandkids live off of this.
Yeah.
So when mom and dad is not in control no more, somebody's able to step in their space and say, all right, we're going to take over. And that's how everybody understands what their role is and what the goal is.
Yes, I like that. And on top of working on the strengths and weaknesses too.
What I've seen with working with family, because I work with my brother, like that's my business partner. So this episode of the Student Alive podcast is sponsored by Vintage Florists and Events. For the Valentine's Day flowers, for your Mother's Day flowers, for your Christmas, your anniversary, whatever you need these flowers for, these teddy bears, whatever arrangements, you could hit up Vintage Florists and Events.
Yes.
The number to call to make orders, place orders, or for more info is 754-423-4673. In a lot of times in business, when your ego takes over. So in the beginning, it's like, I'm able to say, all right, you're wrong and I'm right. But now, sometimes when you take our conversations outside of the team, now other people have an input. Now, these compromises that we used to have now becomes more complicated.
Because now you have more people to add into.
Right, now you have more opinions that you have to deal with. They're not coming directly from you. Somebody, you share that with somebody, now somebody give their input. Now your attitude and your mind has changed from our standard that we have set. So that's also one thing you gotta also be careful with, is keeping your business within the partnership.
Yeah.
If it's your family, if it's your business partner, keep it in that, within the realms of that. Because it's happened to me where I've shared with somebody and then their opinion almost ruined my business relationship. Because if I introduce you to somebody, somebody's gonna have a different opinion about you. And they say, oh, I don't trust that person, when we never had a problem. Now I'm gonna start looking at you like, damn, if they don't trust you, why? And I'm gonna start picking apart shit, and then that's makes
ruin it. Yeah.
Exactly. And we never had a problem,
Right.
but because that person had an input, now I'm starting looking at you sideways. So we also got to be careful with letting other people put their opinions
on you. Yeah, that's so true. That's a gem.
It's true.
All right, so what would you say is the pros and cons of having these business relationships?
I'm gonna start with the cons, and this is why I said we don't have these conversations a lot.
Yeah.
Some of the cons is when you're so used to somebody, it's hard to separate business from especially like you say in a relationship. If I start a business, right, and me and you're in a relationship, and I ask you to come work for me, there's a certain way I can't talk to you because I gotta go home.
That's true.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you like that's one con in there. Like you can't have somebody working with you that you can't treat like everybody else when it comes to business.
Yeah.
That person has to understand that even if we're arguing, if we break up, whatever it is, this business has to continue running.
Yes.
And that's one of the biggest cons in having the people you know and love, family and friends, working for you. You have them working for you, and then when y'all fall out, the business falls out.
Yeah.
And that is the biggest problem that most people have with doing business with friends and family. But the pros to any business relationship is, like I said, having the same end goal. That's the number one thing. Understanding the process. Understanding that this might not be an overnight thing. Understanding that these might be some sleepless nights.
Yes.
Understanding that there's some compromises that are going to happen for us to get where we got to go. Some people are going to slam some doors in our shutting our faces, and we're going to have to take that and swallow it because we know where we're trying to get to. And sometimes we're going to have to work with the people we don't like in order to get where we want to get to.
Right. That's
so those are the pros are like understanding the people that you want to get in business with.
Yeah, I like that. I think that also with family and friends and doing business with them, it depends on the business that you're doing as well, because some business don't have to necessarily shut down because one of the main players aren't there. And also, I think there's ways to end business agreements or whatever project you started on and not burn a bridge and keep it going. Like you see, like with like news channels and stuff like that, and you know, the show keeps going. It keeps going, but they was able to. Some of them were able to end it on good notes.
Yeah, like Shannon Sharp, who just left the show. He ended it on a good note. He was like he appreciated the opportunity.
Shay show?
No. He has the sports show on Fox. On FS1.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Where he said, he did what? 12 years there.
Yeah.
And he was like, it came to an end, but he still appreciates everybody and everybody's still good. But stuff like that is very rare that you see that happen. Because his contribution to the show is going to be missing.
Right.
Because now he's gone, somebody has to be as good or even better to fill that spot. But there's a lot of times that wouldn't be considered a business relationship because they're working for somebody. So if it was a business relationship between Shannon Sharp
and the owner
and they split, now that's ended. You understand? But remember, the network hired both of them to do a job. So their job could be replaced. It's just like you have a business and you hire, like, for instance, you hire a chef. His job could be replaced if he's gone.
True.
But if it's both of them that has the restaurant and one leaves, now you complicate stuff. Depending on the percentage of the business that you split it.
Like it can decrease, it can fall a little, but it doesn't have to be over. Because sometimes people are like, I'm not watching this show because this person left. You know?
It depends on the level of ownership.
Yeah.
Because if I own 70% and you own 30% and you decide to leave, I'm still a majority owner.
No, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If I'm at face value in my business, right? Let's say, for instance, a restaurant again. A restaurant is called Stretch's Restaurant, right? But you're a silent owner. You own 40% or 50%, right? And you decide to pull your 50%. I could take this name and go anywhere with it, and it's still going to be Stretch's Restaurant.
Because you're this whole.
I am at face value. So that partnership, it depends
on what the structure is from the beginning.
Exactly, before that to fall apart.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, what do you think about team effort?
Now that's another thing. we're going in another realm now. So we talked about dating, right? We talked about dating, and I feel like even with friendships we talk about, it's just like dating. When you're finding your friends, it has to be finding red flags with those friends, knowing the person that you're gonna share your time with and your life with. It's the same thing with business. When you're getting into business with somebody, first you gotta ask the right questions. And my therapist actually told me this. She said, we have to ask the right questions when we're getting into business. Like, do we have the same end goal? Are we trying to get to the same place? Do we want the same things? You know, and then we discuss what do we want out of this?
Right.
You know, then you start looking at principles. Does this person show up on time? Do they get a job done on time? Do they put in enough work? Because being entrepreneurs, we know we're gonna lose sleep.
Yeah.
We're gonna lose family time. We're gonna lose relationship time. We're gonna miss out on some things. That's okay. We gotta know that as business owners, that we're not gonna be at every function. Some things we're gonna miss because we have things to do.
Yes.
We don't have a boss to say, you need to be here, here, and there. We have to know that. We have to be there.
Yeah.
You know.
That's true.
So
I think for me, with team effort, so when I worked at a salon, and the last 2 years I was there, I had to manage it. And that was like a wide awakening for me, because the 6 years prior to that, I was just going in the salon, working and doing my thing. And I kind of had a natural leadership to me, but once they actually put me in that position, I had to realize that I don't only have to think for me. I have to think for everybody.
Right.
And I have to listen and understand everyone and where they're coming from and make an executive decision, you know, through that, as far as being the leader. And weed out the ones that wasn't willing to actually be a team player. And I think for me as well, it strengthened my passion in just being in a leadership position, and also having a team and working with a team. Because if we're not all on the same boat, you know, we gonna get to the destinations at different times. You know, so for me, it's major key, and the communication with it is right there.
So the thing is with working with a team, I have a team. The thing is with working with a team, what I have realized with working with a team is, if everybody's pulling in a different direction, we're carrying this load, right? And if you're not pulling your weight, it's gonna tip, and we're not gonna get to the destination because the load is not, you're not holding up your side.
Of the load, right.
Right. So either one person is gonna be strained with too much, or we're just gonna be stagnant because this load is here. And then if two people start slacking off, then the load does this. And no, we're not elevating at all. We're just on this one level, struggling, fighting each other to go. If everybody just get on the same page and be like, all right, we're gonna lift, and we keep going up. Now we're on the same page, now we're moving forward.
Yes.
But if we have one or two people that's doing this and not pulling their weight, then that weight is not gonna move.
Yes.
That is how you gotta when you put a team together, like I said, everybody gotta be willing to do their part.
Yes.
And everybody gotta understand what their part is.
Yeah.
Hello everyone, we took another break out of the podcast to let you know that on July 15th, I'll be celebrating my birthday. My birthday, that means all of y'all gotta pull up on July 15th, and we're also celebrating the 4th year of Ecstatic Sound being in existence. So all of y'all gotta pull up right here in South Florida at Lounge 84. You can go ahead and grab your tickets on Eventbrite, or you can follow us on Instagram for all the information that you need. So on July 15th, I'll be celebrating my birthday and Ecstatic Sound's 4th year anniversary at Lounge 84. Make sure you pull up. So building a team, that's very important. And personalities also is gonna be different. That's also one other thing you gotta understand. People bring their personalities when they come into certain roles. Because if you're gifted at doing something, right? That gift needs the passion behind it. It needs your personality. It needs everything in order to push you forward, right? So if you now is the quiet one, and you're the quiet one who sits behind the computer and you get the job done, I'm not going to expect you to be the most outspoken one, because that is not you.
Right.
But when it's needed, you know when to.
Right.
And how to.
And how to, yep.
So
So we all train together.
yes.
Yes.
We got to know each other's strengths and weaknesses.
Yep.
These are things that, you know, we as people got to understand how to operate in these spaces. So, yeah.
So I want you to answer this one specifically on your end, right? Like, okay, so you've worked with women and with men.
Yes.
So tell me, you know, your experience and what's the differences between it. Because I'm before you say that, if you don't say what I think you're going to say, I'm going to quote what you said to me before. So
Okay, I'm probably not going to say the same thing.
Okay.
But women are way easier to work with.
Okay, you said it already?
Yes. I'm going to tell you why. Women are more structured.
Okay.
But women can be harder to work with because of the emotions that they have.
Right.
You know, a lot of times women, their emotions take control sometimes. And a lot of times women don't know how to separate business from logics. Like, you know, me and a woman could be in a relationship and you're part of my business. But when we break up, you find every excuse or every reason to be like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
You know? And that's a fact. That happens all the time. Working with men now, right? It's more of, even though we have a lot of feminine men now that just be in their feelings, but
It's the ego.
the ego
Yes.
is what takes over with men.
Yeah.
And when men do this and clash, a lot of times we're not able to sit down and talk it out and have a conversation, because most times that's all it is. Misunderstanding. Just have a conversation.
Right.
That's it. But for women, most of the times, when it comes to the positive side, great at structure, great at, you know, pushing your business forward. They have the right conversations. They think they're smarter. Women are way smarter than we are. Every business, I feel like every business needs a woman somewhere in there. Even our business. It needs a female somewhere in there to say, all right, I'm the person with the structure and the you know, the alignment of this thing. Because we men, we're better at the more simple things. You know, we know that we put this here, there, and there, and that's how it's supposed to be.
Right.
But women are going to be like, all right, this is supposed to be measured with this metric. A lot of times we don't care about the metric. We just want it to look good.
Yeah.
But the woman is going to come in and be like, this looks better here.
Yeah.
This looks better over here. Put this up here. And we're going to look back and be like, yeah, that's right. I feel like,
woman's touch.
yeah, the woman's touch is always needed.
Okay, so for me, working as a woman with a man, and I only work with men. I don't work with males or boys. Like
Men.
I work with men.
Right.
And I'm naturally, and I'm gonna use this word, in my feminine energy. But with business, I gotta tip some of the masculine in it, because there is a certain level of seriousness that you have, that some
Leadership. Yeah. That leadership, the masculine energy is that leadership energy.
Right, exactly. Yeah. That has to be portrayed, and I think there's a difference, right, with a woman sharing something and it seems that it's emotional, because I can have passion and emotion over what I'm talking about, and then there's women that put outside emotions in the business. So, oh my God, I'm going through this breakup. Oh my God, I can't do it. They shut down, and that's a woman you don't want to do business with. Right. Oh my God, my family, this, my da-da-da. Like, if it's not someone dying for real, or your health isn't at risk, you know,
The job needs to get done.
Exactly. So for me, I have passion and emotion about what is going on in the business, and sometimes it can look as really emotional, but it really is just like, this is how I see it. We have to figure out how to restructure.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I had to learn that, okay, I don't have to be aggressive and rude and a bitch, real, like for real,
Yeah.
for real. Like I don't have to be that. I can get my point across just in a stern manner. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
But with working with women, I think that, and I've done business with women before. I have to say though, I haven't done business with women like long term, because a
Right.
lot of the times they don't have the same mindset to not bring outside emotions into it.
I think it's an attachment thing with women when it comes to
Break that down.
So if you all right. So we talked about having work friends, having business friends, having real friends, having party friends. A lot of times, a woman will get attached so much to this person. You feel like you're so cool as being a work friend or work partner that we could go out to dinner, we could go to parties, we could go to the gym, and then you realize that doesn't always work. Not because we click here in business, that don't mean we're gonna click over here. So I feel like that also complicates things, because I didn't know, you might go out with a girl and didn't know she has 10 men that she talked to. And you're not the type of person to even condone no shit like that.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So sometimes it's best to keep those work friends at work. You know, you do business, we do this business, and then we go on about the business. My team now, we do everything like together. Like we go out, not everything, but most things. You know, and we know how each other operates in every stratosphere, basically. So that's what I think when it comes to women. A lot of times they get attached very easily to things. If it's animals, they get attached quick. If it's friends, they get attached quick. If it's objects, they get attached quickly to it.
Yeah.
So when you're at work and your business is going great and y'all click, you feel like you can roll that over into the friendship zone where y'all do things together, and sometimes that don't work. That's what I think.
People be like, wow, you out way more than you normally be out. I'm like, listen, this is real deal business, unless it's like I'm really trying to party.
Right.
But it's real business, because I remember when we had Gallus on, he spoke about, him being out and people having to see him to be like, hey, I want to work with you, I want to, whatever. And it's people that come up to me when we're out, when I come to your events, and they're like, oh, I want to be on the podcast, I want to da-da-da. And it's like, I'm there for that reason, and sometimes it can be a little confusing to people, like, and it's like, no, I'm really just, because y'all don't see me on, y'all wouldn't see me before this started,
Right.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I get that, totally.
So let's go to team building and motivating each other. So let's start with team
Motivating
building.
each other.
Let's start with team building. Now, networking is one thing that, as a matter of fact, let's leave networking as a thing by itself.
Yeah.
Let's leave that by itself. Let's team building and motivating each other. So when building your team, right? Everybody needs that, by the way. If you're an entrepreneur, you cannot do it by yourself. No matter how you try, it's always best to be surrounded by a team.
Yes.
Whether it's a team of 1, or a team of 2, a team of 3. Even as a hairdresser, you still need your little team that you surround yourself with, because that's going to help to push you forward. You could be in this shop doing one hair at a time for 10 years, and then all of a sudden you decide, all right, I'm gonna open a salon. Now your business is way bigger. That's your team that you're working with now.
Yeah.
So everybody needs a team in order to propel themselves forward. Your team could even be your relationship partner. Because when you're at work, somebody got to be there to take care of the family, the house. You're not going to always be home.
Sure.
It could be your friend, it could be your family, but some team has to be around you to expand your business.
Or you make a team
Yeah.
to take care of the home.
Yeah.
If we financially
Whichever
able
one
to.
works, but a team is needed.
Yeah. Hey everyone, if you are here in South Florida, please check out Skyless Hair Studio. That's SKYLYST, where we specialize in hair care, locks, colors, cuts,
You can
all
do
that
mine
good
too?
stuff. Yes, we definitely do men's hair as well. Okay, so we are here in Tamarack, Florida. Check us out and we'll take care of all your hair in a little bit.
So where can they find you?
You can find us at CEO Your Life _ Skyless Hair Studio on Instagram or online at skylesshairstudio.com.
Hey.
All right. Yeah. And as far as the motivation, I think you gotta wake up and have motivation on your own, first of all. I'm not gonna hold you. Like, there has to be a percentage of motivation when you wake up to have on your own, because it takes a lot to just get up and go. You know what I mean?
A lot of people don't believe in motivation, you know that.
Which is crazy to me.
I'm gonna tell you why. You see, people look at motivation as something as simple as, all right, you can do it.
Like telling me what to do?
No, like you can do it. Let me prop myself up. I can do this. Yes, I'm up today and I'm good and I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
But that's something that you gotta have embedded in you. Mm-hmm. You can't be like, all right, because I heard you say it, now I'm motivated. I can't wait for you to tell me, let's get motivated and do it. It has to be like, I got this gem from you, I took it and I molded it into something in my real life, and this stays with me.
Right.
Right? Me being able to know that somebody don't have to motivate me to get out of bed to go get business done. Anybody could tell you this. I never oversleep when I have a party to play at, ever. Nobody has to wake me up to go to an event to work. Right. You don't have to motivate me to do the things I want to do. You know what I'm saying? That's why a lot of people don't believe in motivation.
And this, I think that this had a light bulb in my head. So, motivation language, right? So I just thought about it, because your motivation language isn't, come on, stretch, let's go. And the yelling, because you're not gonna hear anything because you don't like loudness other than if it's music around me, right? But if I know if I text you a certain way, and I make it very clear to you that it might not be to come and record or whatever, but it will be to, all right, yeah, I gotta get this right. Yeah, you know, so it's knowing your team's motivational language.
Sometimes it's literally you just need a reminder a lot of times.
Yeah.
It's not even motivation sometimes. You just need a reminder that sometimes you're having a down day and you're having a day where you're just...
It's a motivation, it's just the language of it. It's how it's structured towards...
Right. Each person, right?
Yeah.
It's tailored towards that person.
Right, exactly.
You know, because when I was a personal trainer and people would be like, I want you to motivate me to go work out. I'm like, I can't do that. You know.
You gotta get rid of heavier.
You have to want it. You have to want it. If you want it as bad as I think you do, I shouldn't have to motivate you. I'm gonna give you the little motivation. But if you're sitting down in your house and you want me to motivate you to get up and go, that is going to be difficult for you. You know, sometimes our motivation is something bad happening.
You know, it's so funny. Now I see why a lot of trainers started charging a crap load of money.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like, some trainers, they charge that motivation fee. Like,
right.
I need that motivation fee if you need me to motivate you.
A lot of times I felt like I was a parent. I felt like I was somebody's dad.
Yeah.
Trying to tell you, come on, you gotta get up, you gotta go.
That's a lot of work.
My session starts at 4 and you're still in the house at 4 o'clock. I need that motivation. Look in the mirror.
Right.
That's the biggest motivation you're gonna need to push you forward.
Yeah.
You know? I tell people all the time, if you have kids, that's the biggest motivation you're gonna need. Just looking at them.
Just looking at them, you're like, I gotta get this.
Get it done.
A good parent, a healthy parent.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes bad things too could be your motivation.
Yeah.
Somebody passing away could be like, yo, I gotta live my life the right way.
Yeah. I think that now pulls into discouragements and being told no.
Oh yeah. That's, as a business owner, always happens.
So many no's.
It happens in different ways though.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen the same way like somebody literally telling
Says
you no.
Right.
It happens in so many, like us doing parties, it could be literally people not believing in your thing and be like pushing against it. Like I'm not supporting that. It could be that, and then in a couple of years when the success is undeniable, then those same people are going to show up.
Right. Yeah.
So
that's the sad part about it.
And no just means disappointments.
To you, it means disappointment?
To me, it like any disappointment that you get doing business, it's a no. It doesn't have to literally be somebody telling you no.
Right.
You understand?
Okay. I get
So
what you're
that's what I think. That's how I think about it. And then how I deal with it, staying focused on the end goal. The end goal is always what it's about.
Right.
Staying focused on that. Because if you let a no discourage you, you weren't about that life. You were not about that life to begin with. So once you focus on that end goal, 100 no's, you're gonna hear 100 no's. Also, let me throw this in before you go. A lot of times we gotta recognize our real gift. You might be a rapper, you suck as a rapper. Your voice is annoying, but if you write these songs for somebody else, you might be a great writer. Right. A lot of times there's people struggling to do this one thing. You're not great at it. You're struggling to be a rapper, a DJ, a photographer, whatever. You're not good at that. But you're so adamant on, I'm gonna succeed, I'm gonna succeed, I'm gonna succeed. A lot of times all you need to do is take a step back and look at it from a different lens.